All right, let's jump right into this explainer because we are tackling a truly dangerous illusion today. We've all been there, right? You're at a family gathering, maybe a holiday party, or just grabbing coffee, and someone suddenly corners you with a highly probing, incredibly personal question. You instantly get that weird knot in your stomach. But in that split second, we usually convince ourselves that answering is just the polite thing to do. Well, the source material we're unpacking today argues the exact opposite. In fact, it makes a really compelling case that your so-called politeness is actually painting a massive target on your back.
Right out of the gate, the text hits us with this incredibly harsh truth. Stop being a human open book. It basically says that oversharing is like leaking your soul to people who, let's be real, probably wouldn't even check on you if you were face down in a ditch. It's a pretty brutal warning, but a necessary one. We live in this era where broadcasting literally every detail of our lives is completely normalized, and the text argues that we need to reverse this trend right now and start fiercely protecting our privacy.
So, to help you lock down your personal vault, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the overarching danger of oversharing. Then, we'll dive into 3 specific questions you need to dodge about your finances, your goals, and your mistakes. Finally, we'll wrap it all up with the power of silence.
Okay, Section 1, the danger of oversharing, and why answering feels polite but is actually toxic.
When you're dealing with a highly nosy person, you are basically walking into a lose-lose scenario. Human psychology is funny like that. People rarely ask truly intrusive questions just because they care about your well-being. Look at it this way. If you're actually doing worse than them, they just want to feel better about their own lives. It's a cheap ego boost to hear about your struggles. On the flip side, if you're doing significantly better, they instinctively want to find a way to drag you back down into the mud, just to level the playing field. The core issue here is their motive. They are almost always fishing for evidence to judge you or to feel superior, not to offer any genuine support.
So what's the actual cost of this? Every single time you answer an intrusive question just to be polite, you are literally handing over the remote control to your life. You're tanking your mental health by inviting in all these unsolicited opinions, and you instantly become everyone's favorite topic of gossip at the next dinner party. But the absolute biggest takeaway here is about self-respect. As the source points out, if you don't respect your own boundaries, you're flashing a giant green light for everyone else to trample all over them. Why would anyone respect your privacy if you clearly don't value it yourself?
Moving into Section 2, Question 1, your finances. This is the ultimate tool for comparison.
Picture this. Someone casually drops this bomb over coffee. So, what's your current salary? Or, how are you doing financially? It feels like a trap, because it absolutely is one. The source is adamant that you must never, ever answer this. Why? Because the exact second a dollar amount enters the conversation, people stop seeing you as a complex human being. You become a metric. They immediately peg you to a specific economic tier, and once they anchor you to that number, good luck getting them to see you any differently.
The fallout is completely predictable. If you make more money than they do, congratulations, you're now a walking bank. Or worse, they see you as some lucky fraud, and they'll quietly roll their eyes at everything you buy, assuming you just have unearned privilege. But if you make less, get ready to be hit with this disgusting, patronizing fake pity. Suddenly you're treated like a child whose life is a total dumpster fire, even if the person judging you can barely hold their own life together. The point is, financial comparison is the absolute fastest way to nuke a relationship.
So, who actually gets VIP access to this highly sensitive data? The list is shockingly short. The only people who genuinely need to know your bank balance are your accountant, the IRS, and your spouse. That's the whole list. Nobody else on earth needs this information to have a meaningful relationship with you. Your debts, your savings, your side hustles, all of that belongs in a tightly sealed vault.
Now, when someone puts you on the spot in real time, the text gives us this brilliant, actionable script. I make enough to be comfortable. It's perfect. It's polite, but it builds an incredibly firm wall that gives them absolutely zero to work with. No concrete numbers to compare, no tax brackets to judge. It completely diffuses the situation without you having to be overtly confrontational.
But look, we all know those people who just love pushing boundaries. If they keep prying after you give them the polite brush off, you have to calmly drop this undeniable follow-up. I do not discuss finances. Boom! It shuts the conversation down completely. It leaves absolutely zero room for interpretation and sets a rock-solid boundary they simply cannot cross.
All right, Section 3, Question 2, your goals. We really need to talk about protecting your vision.
So the question is, what are your biggest goals or dreams? Now, modern self-help culture tells us to shout our intentions from the rooftops, post our goals on social media, get an accountability partner, all that stuff.
And sure, it sounds super supportive on the surface, but the source material throws a massive wrench in that idea. It argues that broadcasting your untethered ambitions is actually deeply flawed. Why? Because opening up about your biggest dreams can invite a massive flood of toxic negativity into your life exactly when you are at your most vulnerable.
The source breaks this down into what it calls the projection cycle. Step 1, you excitedly announce your plan for a better life. Maybe you're going back to school or starting a new business. Step 2, instead of cheering you on, people subconsciously start projecting their own deepest fears and regrets right onto you. And then step 3, they systematically remind you how incredibly hard it's going to be and why you are probably going to fail. By sharing your vision prematurely, you're literally letting other people sabotage your early momentum with the dead weight of their own insecurities.
The fix for this is beautifully simple. Move in silence. Let your results speak for you. The harsh reality is that not everyone deserves access to your vision. Your dreams need intense protection while they're still in that fragile, growing phase. Keep your ambitions carefully under wraps until you have tangible, undeniable results to show. Only then do you let your success make the noise.
Which brings us to Section 4. Question 3. Your mistakes. Don't give them ammunition.
This question usually pops up disguised as a quest for deep connection. So what's your biggest mistake or regret? It happens in those late-night, seemingly profound conversations. People will swear up and down that it's a completely safe, judgment-free zone, just to get you to lower your guard and confess. It is so incredibly easy to fall into this trap, maybe out of lingering guilt or just wanting true intimacy. But the source explicitly warns us to tread very, very carefully here.
Because here is the ugly truth. Your past quickly becomes ammunition. Sure, they might genuinely mean it when they promise not to judge you in that exact moment. But human relationships are messy, right? They're volatile. The second that relationship experiences tension or completely goes south, that deeply vulnerable confession about your worst moment is going to be weaponized against you. By oversharing your deepest regrets, you are essentially handing them a loaded gun and just crossing your fingers that they never pull the trigger.
Remember, your past is not your identity. You do not owe anyone a deep, agonizing confession about your lowest points. If someone starts really digging into your regrets, just look them dead in the eye and use this script. I learned what I needed to learn. Say exactly that, leave it right there, and just keep moving forward. It acknowledges that the past happened, but you don't surrender a single private detail.
Let's pull all of this together in Section 5, the power of silence and taking back control.
We all know that age-old cliché, information is power. Well, the source material flips this brilliantly. In our context, it means this: the less people know about your private life, the less they can interfere with your peace. Shrinking your circle of trust and intentionally keeping strangers out of the front row of your life isn't about isolating yourself. It's actually the ultimate life hack for maintaining your emotional stability.
I want you to consider this profoundly empowering rule. I'm not comfortable sharing that is a complete sentence, period. It doesn't need an awkward little laugh at the end, it doesn't need a 10-minute justification, and it certainly doesn't require an apology. You do not have to answer a question just because it was asked.
Now, people are absolutely going to push back against your new boundaries. When they do, keep this brilliant realization in your back pocket. If people get upset by your boundaries, it usually means they benefited from you not having any. Read that internal compass closely. That is exactly why setting boundaries feels so uncomfortable at first. Keep this in mind the next time a friend or family member or a coworker tries to make you feel guilty for keeping your business to yourself.
And that brings us to the final unifying takeaway of this entire explainer. Not everything deserves an explanation. Some things simply deserve silence. You have the absolute right to curate exactly who gets access to your inner world. So as you move forward and navigate those inherently nosy people in your daily life, I really want you to ask yourself, which parts of your life are you finally going to lock in the vault?